Are you going to get a check in a short sale? Well, usually not. In a short sale, there's not enough money to pay off the bank. So there's not going to be any money coming your way normally. So if no money's coming your way, why incur all this headache?
Does it not stay on your record or affect your credit as?
Oh, somebody raised the credit question.
As a foreclosure, and that was I wanted to know how long does it stay on your credit or?
Let me talk about credit. I'll talk about credit because it's coming up in a slide or two. I'll talk about credit. Okay, next slide. Okay, okay, I'm getting real close to talking about credit. Okay, fraud. Now this is not your fraud. These are people out there preying on homeowners experiencing mortgage distress. It's like this is a big part of what's going on out there in our economy. Our homeowners experiencing mortgage distress, and you've got every Tom, Dick, and Harry jumping into the game trying to offer solutions. The problem is they're ill-equipped and incompetent to do so. This applies to real estate agents and brokers, lawyers, and other people. Okay? And this is just the civil code section that says it's unlawful for those people to take advantage of you. Next section. These foreclosure consultants are selling the easy button. That's what they're doing. That's how they're separating you from your money. And as you can tell from what I've shared with you today, is there anything easy about this? No. No. Anybody that's selling the easy button, they're probably running a scam. Next slide. Types of scams. These are types of scams that we've seen. Land patents. People come up with all these ideas on how to separate you from your money. And we're going to record a land patent. We're going to give you sell you a sign to put in your front yard, telling everybody that you got a federal land patent that will stop your foreclosure. And I tell people, and this is true, this is a scam that existed a couple years ago, not so much today, but you got different versions of it floating around out there, and these types of scams are completely ineffective to stop a foreclosure. You're no better off putting this poster of SpongeBob SquarePants on your front door to stop the bank from foreclosing on your property. Foreclosure consultants are regulated under Civil Code Section 2945 of the Civil Code. They have to provide you with a written contract, and they can't ask you for any money up front, including lawyers. Including lawyers. Credit repair. There's an organization called the National Consumer Law Center. Bunch of lawyers. It's a nonprofit organization out of Massachusetts. They repeatedly publish their opinion that virtually all credit repair organizations are fraudulent. And I tend to believe them as well. Any type of an arrangement that involves a sale or conveyance of title to your house is probably a scam. Next slide. You're going to see some real life scams. How do you flush out whether the people that you're dealing with are actually running a scam on you? Do they have insurance? Do they have what's called errors and omissions insurance? If they don't have errors and omissions insurance, they can't show you that they have errors and omissions insurance, it's a scam probably. It's probably a scam. If an insurance company is not willing to back up their activity, then you shouldn't be trusting them, because it's going to be their personal financial statement that's going to have to satisfy any monetary harm that has come your way by way of using them. How long have they been in business? Do they have a professional license? What you'll usually get, okay, go ahead. What you'll usually get from these people, you're exposed to liability on a junior lien holder. What do you care how the senior lien holder reports it? If you got a $200,000 lawsuit coming your way with Wells Fargo on it as a junior lien holder after Bank of America, the senior lien holder, has foreclosed, why are we talking about credit? Do you have the money to pay a $200,000 judgment? Well, no. Well, okay then, why are we talking about credit? Because if they sue you, they're going to get a judgment, and you're going to have a $200,000 judgment now appearing on your credit bureau. If you end up with a tax bill, you're going to have a tax lien now appearing on your credit bureau. Why are we talking about credit? Let's instead focus on how to avoid a judgment appearing on your credit. Let's instead focus on how to avoid a tax lien appearing on your credit. If we can tackle those problems first, then maybe we can avoid a complete across-the-board destruction of your credit. If not, then we might have to be looking at a bankruptcy, which here again means the destruction of your credit. Focus on your getting control of your finances. If you don't have control of your finances, you're probably looking at a bankruptcy and the destruction of your credit. The destruction of your credit is a foregone conclusion if you do not have control of all of your finances. Period. It's just that simple. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up because I'm going to time crunch. I'll answer any questions anybody may have. Yeah.
Can the second mortgage or the junior foreclose the property if you are a parent with your first mortgage?
Yep.
Even if you're a parent with your senior? No?
The senior and the junior are unrelated to one another other than they both have a lien on the property.
So he can put a lien, but he cannot foreclose it.
Yeah, sure they can.
Even if there's a deficiency balance in the property?
Well, in a setting, if they do a non-judicial foreclosure, is that a good development? He's asking the question, can a junior lien holder foreclose on the property?
Which is current with the
if you're current on the first. It's a good question. Very good question.
And then there's a deficiency balance.
Well, if they foreclose, we're assuming a scenario where the value of the property is low, loan balances are high, right?
Yeah, the credit, yes.
Okay, so in that scenario, if you're current on the first and you're not current on the second, can the second foreclose? The answer is they have the right to foreclose. And in fact, if they perform a non-judicial foreclosure, would you have an obligation to pay the second under 580D of the Code of Civil Procedure? No. It would be a non-judicial foreclosure. The trustee, under the deed of trust for the second, would have exercised his power of sale. Then you would not have an obligation to pay the second, the deficiency balance. The first, the senior lien holder, would retain his lien on the property, and then if you stop paying him, he would probably perform a non-judicial foreclosure, and then when he performed the non-judicial foreclosure, 580D would then bar the first from being able to come after you for the deficiency balance, and you would have just completely escaped and dodged all liability on either of the two loans. Assuming you don't have 3 or more loans, that'd be a good day. That'd be a most welcome development. Now, because of that, what I just explained to you, the way that plays out, is for that reason that you don't see the second foreclosing very often. What we are starting to see the seconds do from time to time is sue. Even though you're current on the first, you're dragging out the second. The second they have the right to sue you and ignore the collateral. Now, there's a penalty that they incur associated with that, but they can't do that.
Because they already lose their lien when the property went down, right?
No, they didn't lose their lien. It's still there. It's just it doesn't make economic sense for them to go after the property.
What's forbearance?
It's, well, what do you think it is?
Part of contingency, right?
What's that?
Forbearance.
Forbearance is just a term of art that describes a scenario where you're being excused from something for a certain period of time. The form and the specifics of the forbearance that the banks are offering, it varies from loan to loan and from bank to bank and from borrower to borrower. You know, a lot of the banks are coming out with these forbearance agreements where it's essentially a temporary payment arrangement where before they will entertain or provide you with an actual modification. But all of forbearance or even a loan modification, all it is is the bank changing the deal. You guys changing the deal. But here's what I want you to understand, and the banks are aware of this. In 2008, I think it's 2008, November of 2008, the 4th District Court of Appeals, which oversees the courts here in the state courts here in San Diego, ruled on a case, Seacrest versus, and I can't remember the name of the bank now off the top of my head, where they basically said a loan modification or any type of modification of a loan that is not signed by the bank is not enforceable under the statute of frauds. And in that case, the homeowner actually received